So there's several ways to read data from delimited files using Pandas. This table on this screen shows some of the most common ways. And Pandas is not the only way to import delimited data. You could do it in several libraries and tools in Python, but these ones are frequently used. So here's some of the most commonly used functions. The read CSV loads delimited data from a file or file-like object. And the comma is the default delimiter, but you could specify other delimiters in this function. Read table and read FWF work in the same manner as the read CSV, and it allows you to load delimited data from objects, and it uses the tab as the default delimiter for the read table. And the FWF, you can read data in fixed width column format, and there's no delimiters as part of that function. And then there's a function called read clipboard that reads data directly from the clipboard. And so this is useful for converting tables from web pages. And there's no delimiter in this function either. So in order to demonstrate how to read data in a CSV format, I created this example1.csv file. It has these columns with 6 rows, columns A through F, and we're going to import this, and we're going to use this read CSV function from Pandas to read that into Python. So the first step in any Python function when you're using a library is to import that. So we're going to import Pandas as PD. And this is the path on where this CSV is stored. So we're going to use this command along with where this is stored. We're going to store this in the df variable, which is the data frame. And you can see here, this is how it's being read into Python after the import. So often, data files come in all shapes and sizes, and it's pretty common to have rows or columns of data with different delimiters. Sometimes they're all together in a single string. Sometimes there is comments throughout the text file. So these are the items that you'll have to sort through before you can do any of your analysis. And often it's not uncommon to not have header rows in your files. So in Python, you could either allow Pandas to assign default names, or you could specify your own column names. So when you're reading in your CSV file, you could actually choose to read in without a header, or you could also specify the column names in this same a single line statement. So here's the column names in the original file, and since we specified not having a header, you could see that just the data is read into df1. In this slide, we're actually going to specify the column names now. So we have this file now without the column names, and as part of the read CSV function, we could specify column names right here so that it imports in with the column names that you specified. When you're reading in data sets, it's not unusual to have files that have rows of text at the top, and you don't want to import those into Python. That's not part of your data set. So to skip rows of data, you can still, as part of this read CSV function, you could specify which rows to skip. So we specified 0, 1, and 2. So you could see that just these two rows were read in to this data frame DF. It's also common in data sets to have missing data. Sometimes they're completely blank, or they show up as a different type of character that you really don't want. And by default, Pandas does replace any blank spots with an NaN, which stands for not a number. So you could see in our file here that there's several blanks here. And so if we read in the CSV file, we store it in the DF variable again. And this is how it actually is read into Python in the DF variable without us even doing anything else to it. You could see the blank spots were replaced with the NaN notation.